The truth about the multi-level marketing industry and residual income. Learn why 95% of network marketers fail and why it has nothing to do with not having enough leads. Welcome everyone to the presentation. Let's just give everyone a minute to get on the line. We're really excited to share this information with you today. As we're waiting for everybody, we're seeing a lot of industry leaders and some brand new people into the industry that are getting on the line with us today. So welcome as you join. We'll be getting started momentarily. This information has truly changed a lot of folks' lives that are looking for answers when it comes to earning long-term residual income. And again, the call is getting packed. Let's just give it another moment. Again, welcome. Many of us are industry leaders that are joining this call, either current or past industry leaders or brand new folks to the industry for the first time. I promise you this will be one of the most powerful information calls or webinars that you've ever heard or seen regarding the industry. Okay, so let's get started. Thank you for joining us today. This will probably be the most important presentation that you've ever watched, as I just mentioned, regarding the multi-level marketing industry and residual income. So make sure that you pay very close attention. The multi-level marketing industry lies have been exposed, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to share documented proof that the MLM industry has never fulfilled its promise on long-term residual income for the masses. This information is very powerful, and it has taken many top MLM industry leaders by surprise because most of them still have not figured out how to create real residual income. Now, how do we know they haven't? Because they're on their fourth or their fifth or their sixth deal, still an ongoing search for reliable residual income, still looking. Let me introduce myself. My name is Jason Fisher from Long Island, New York, and I got started in the multi-level marketing industry when I was 17 years old. And by the time I was 20 years old, I was earning $18,000 a month. Since I was earning more than my teachers in high school and principal, I felt that I needed to go to college. I worked from home ever since, so for the past 17 years, I've never ever had a boss. My multi-level marketing business eventually fell apart completely, and I made it my mission to find out why, which is what we're going to talk about during the presentation today. Now, before we get started digging into the information, I'd like to ask everyone on the line today a few polling questions. The answers to these questions will help us see that there really is a big problem in the multi-level marketing industry. So we're all going to be able to vote right now. So if you can, as I ask these questions, put in your answers to these polling questions. So the first question that I have for everybody on this call, just so that we get a feel of who's on this call and the experiences that we had, is the first is, how many different multi-level marketing companies have you personally been involved in? The choices are 1, 2 to 5, or more than 5. So let's just give everyone a moment to get their answers in, and then we'll share that with the group. So again, choice 1 company, 2 to 5 companies, somewhere in between that, or more than 5. Okay, great. So 40% of you said that you were involved with 1. 45% of the folks on this webinar said 2 to 5, and 15% of the folks on this webinar have been in more than 5 different multi-level marketing companies. Okay, so let's go to our second polling question. What's the largest organization that you have ever built? So what is the largest organization that you've ever built? The choices is 0 to 25, meaning participants, a part of your organization, 0 to 25. The second option is 25 to 100. Third is 100 to 1,000. Fourth is 1,000 to 2,500 participants, or 2,500 plus. Now that includes consumers or reps, depending on the language of whatever particular company is, but total participants, customers, and reps together. So let's give everyone a moment just to get their answers in. Wow, everybody's pretty quick. Great. Okay, so 85% of you said that you had an organization of between 0 to 25 participants. 8% of you said 25 to 100 within your organization participants. 3.5% of you said 100 to 1,000 within your organization. 2.5% of us on the phone today said you had between 1,000 to 2,500. So we've got some serious industry leaders on the call today. And again, I want to thank you for taking your time out as well as everybody else. And 1% of the participants on the call today had over 2,500 plus participants in their organization, just to give us a feel for who we have on the call. Okay, great. So let's just go to our last and final polling question. For all that had 1,000 participants or more within your organization, how many actually purchased products last month? So if you haven't been involved with that opportunity in a little bit, just think about that last month prior before stopping. If you're currently involved, you'll know that number as it is right now. So how many people are active that purchased last month, staying active on the board? Choice is 25 or less. That's option 1. 50 or less. 100 or less is the third. 500 or less is the fourth. Or you have 500 or more actively on the board, staying active purchasing. Being a consumer of either product-driven company or service-based company, it doesn't matter. So let's give everyone a moment. Wow, these are some staggering numbers. Okay, 84.25% of you on this call today said 25 or less. 9% of the participants on the call said 50 or less active. 4% of all of us on the call today said 100 or less active in your organization. 2% said 500 or less that are actively ordering. And less than 1%, 0.75% said 500 or more. And that's actually pretty staggering considering we've got some huge industry leaders that have thrown up some huge numbers on the board. And that's not surprising to me as some of my business partners, which we'll get into a moment. You know, these numbers seem to be true across the industry. You know, I had 5,000 people in my multi-level marketing business, but in the end, I only had 56 that were actively placing an order. You know, this will be a great time to lead into one of my longtime friends who is joining me today on this presentation. I'm so excited for him to be on this call. I want to bring on one of my closest, dearest friends who has a very similar story to me. So, Rob, why don't you share your numbers with everyone as I just did?
Hey, thank you, Jason. First of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be with you on this presentation today. My name is Robert Ford, and my numbers were very similar to yours, Jason. I had 24,000 distributors in my organization, but in the end, I was down to only 121 people that were actively ordering. You know, let me begin by sharing my story of how I got involved in the multi-level marketing industry, my success with Herbalife International, and why I resigned a six-figure per year income with Herbalife to start over and build a very secure financial future with real residual income. Over 20 years ago, a high school friend introduced me to Amway. He shared with me the concept of residual income, where you can do something once and get paid on that effort for many years to come. That concept was very exciting to me. But I should have known my Amway experience wouldn't work out after my third month in business. And I say that because my mother was my first customer, and she quit being a customer just after 3 months. And I can remember asking her why she quit. And she said to me, "Robert, why should I pay Amway more for their products than I would pay AMP?" And I remember saying to her, "Because, Mom, I'm your son." And she looked at me and said, "That's not a good enough reason." And if I had been thinking with a business mind, I would have realized that she was right. But I showed the plan for 3 more years with no real progress, and I finally quit. Now, several years after that, I got a booklet in the mail that talked about working from home with another multi-level marketing company. The marketing approach that they were using to build their business appealed to me, and that's how I got started in Herbalife. And after working very hard for 3 years, I advanced my business to the, quote, president's team level. And the most I earned with Herbalife was just under $39,000 a month. $24,000 a month was typical for many years. But then my business began to go backwards. My income would fluctuate $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 a month or more. I started to get very frustrated because I was working 13, 15-hour days, but my business was going backwards. And about this time, I went to an Herbalife corporate event, and one of my fellow president team members on stage basically said, "We all have the same products. We all have the same comp plan. So if your business isn't growing because mine is, it's because you're not working hard enough." When I heard him say that, I became very angry because I was working hard and my business was still going backwards. Now, shortly after returning home, I got a phone call that really changed my life. And the call went like this: "Hey, Rob, this is Jason. Do you remember our last conversation?" I immediately replied, "Yes. I remember like it took place yesterday. You see, the last time Jason and I were together was when I flew to Long Island to attend a memorial service for a mutual friend. After the service, Jason and I were talking about the things that we could do to build a more reliable income stream with our Herbalife business." Let me describe this scene. Jason, at the time, was the youngest person in America to have achieved millionaire team status with Herbalife. When he was about 20 years old, he was earning $18,000 to $20,000 a month. He had purchased a $1.5 million home on the ocean. He had an incredibly hot car and a fast boat to go with it. And because of this success at such a young age, Jason was actually asked to join the Generation X Mastermind Group and the Young Networkers Association, a group of the top, 0.5% of young home-based business owners. So Jason and I were having a conversation about how we could improve our Herbalife business. The conversation took place in the hot tub in the back of his house overlooking the water. So the conversation was as clear as if it happened yesterday. And we were talking about all of the distributors that had joined our business that didn't do anything at all, and how when they didn't do anything, they quit. And when they quit, they didn't even stay ordering as a customer. We laughed and said, "Wow, imagine what our businesses would look like if the majority of those distributors who didn't do much at least stuck around as a customer and ordered something for themselves each month. Where would our business be?" So on the phone call with Jason, he continued saying, "Rob, I figured out the reasons why we couldn't keep all of those distributors ordering every month, even when they didn't do anything with the business. I figured out why this was happening in our Herbalife business, and it's not just in Herbalife, it's in all of the MLM companies. Then Jason started going over some of the principles and ideas behind why, and the information made more sense than anything I'd ever heard regarding the multi-level marketing industry. And this is information we're going to share with you today. But then he said something that I just couldn't believe. He said he found a solution to the problem. He said he found a business model that wasn't multi-level marketing, that had a 95% monthly reorder rate. I remember stopping him right there. And I said, Jason, don't lie to me. He said, I'm not lying. I asked him if he could prove it to me, and he said he could prove it in black and white with some business reports. I then told him I was going to get off the phone and book a flight to Long Island because I wanted to see the documented reports. I also told Jason, if I get there and you can't prove it to me in black and white, then I'm going to get on the next plane back to Atlanta, and I don't ever want to speak to you again. Jason replied, no problem, Rob. I wouldn't have you make the trip if I couldn't prove it. He also suggested that I bring my Herbalife business report so we could compare them side by side. To make a long story short, I arrived in Long Island and was blown away by the documentation, and the rest is history. So, Jason, why don't you tell your story?
Great. Thanks, Rob. Thanks for sharing your story. I think what's so great about this business besides is not only do you get to work with people that you like, but it's awesome when you get to work with people that you love, and you're definitely one of those. So, I started in the multi-level marketing industry when I was only 17 years old when I joined Herbalife. As we stated before, I stayed with Herbalife for 11 and a half years where I made millions of dollars with that company. And by the age of 19 years old, I quickly rose to the top 1% of the company with millions of dollars in sales coming in from my organization. I had an organization over 5,000 distributors and was down to only 56 people placing an order in the end of that time. And after my business fell apart, I left the multi-level marketing industry for good because the information we're going to share with you today makes that much overwhelming sense. My business couldn't keep up with the MLM industry's awful attrition rate, and I literally lost everything. After losing my home and seeing a lot of people on my team get hurt, I went on a mission to figure out what went wrong. I set out to see why this happened. After some hardcore digging and researching, I came across some startling discoveries about the multi-level marketing industry that explained it completely all. Before we move into the information, I want to introduce another really great friend of mine, Eric Goldstein, and have him share his story. When I was introduced to Eric, I was impressed with his brilliant mind regarding social media marketing. He was training for internet marketing gurus such as Jonathan Budd and Katie Freiling. He was holding trainings and masterminds with them, teaching people how to position themselves as social media experts. Eric quickly became recognized as one of the top social media marketer trainers in the home-based business industry, where he trained thousands of people. He was able to leverage his personal brand to bring people into his multi-level marketing business, just like the top marketers were teaching and what they still teach today. So, Eric, I would like for you to share your story with everyone, as there are a lot of people that are still doing what you were being taught back then and what you were teaching when it came to branding themselves and positioning themselves. So thanks for being on the call with us today as well.
Great. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate you for taking the time to have me on the call. My name is Eric Goldstein, guys. I was involved in the multi-level marketing industry for 5 years. But after learning the information we're about to go over here, I left that industry for good. Soon after joining a multi-level marketing company, I started poking around on the internet to see if I could, build this business online. And after some of that poking around, I came across a bunch of multi-level marketing internet trainers that were all pretty much saying the same thing. They were all saying to position yourself as a social media internet marketing expert, and then everyone is going to want to join you in your MLM business. I didn't wait long. Got excited. I immersed myself in creating an online presence and a personal brand for myself. It didn't take long for me to catch the attention of some of the top multi-level marketing, internet marketing trainers. I was asked to be a marketing coach for Jonathan Budd in his Inner Circle coaching program. I was coaching a lot of his clients that were paying thousands of dollars to be within that program. And after a while, I started to see that there was a few problems with what I was doing. What I was doing was not being duplicated by everyone else. The majority of people were not creating the same results. But then I also realized that there was an even bigger problem than that going on. No matter how many people I brought into my multi-level marketing business from my marketing efforts, they didn't stick around very long, and they quit. And when they quit, they didn't even remain ordering as a customer. I realized I could generate all the leads in the world, but since people really didn't stay active with my company very long, there was no residual income. I figured out that lead generation wasn't the real problem in the multi-level marketing industry like everybody's talking about out there. I got pretty frustrated because of the promise of long-term residual income in the multi-level marketing industry just started to seem like it was all a lie. So right about that time, I was introduced to Jason, and he revealed the problems, the real problems in the multi-level marketing industry. And basically everything in my life since that point has changed due to this information. So Jason, I'll pass it back over to you.
Well, great. Eric, thanks for sharing your story. And it's been such an awesome thing working with you and learning from you as well. Thanks for that information. So what we want to prove to you today with financial statements, and this gets powerful, provided by companies themselves and information from the DSA, the Direct Sales Association, is that multi-level marketing has never delivered on the promise of real, lifelong, willable residual income. Let's look at the US-based MLM companies that have done over $1 billion in sales in 1 year, which is normally what is said to be a successful company. Avon is $11.3 billion. Amway at $10.9 billion. Herbalife at $3.5 billion, Mary Kay at $2.9 billion, Tupperware at $2.6 billion, Nu Skin at $1.7 billion. Now let's look at how much of that business is taking place in the United States. This is interesting. Avon, 18%, Amway, 5%, Herbalife, 19%. Mary Kay, 19%, Tupperware, 15%, and Nu Skin, 11%. In most of these companies, the high entry fee is what accounts for about 50% of their new sales volume, which simply replaces the volume that they lose every single year. Since there is very little long-term consumption of the products or services, there's no residual income. So while the multi-level marketing companies themselves are succeeding, the individual distributors and consultants are not having success at earning long-term residual income. That is not to say that some of them don't earn millions of dollars in commissionable income, but the promise of the industry is long-term residual income, and that is not being earned because there is little long-term consumption. After we explore why the multi-level marketing industry fails to deliver on the promise of long-term residual income, you'll have the opportunity to learn about a business model that is not an MLM, that has long-term consumption with 60% of its business in the USA, which is what produces lifelong willable residual income.
So now we're going to share with you the real reason why 95% of network marketers fail, and why MLM will never provide lifelong residual income, and it has nothing to do with not having enough leads. After we learned what we're about to share with you, we realized there was nothing that we could do to change the outcome. It wasn't about being a better leader. It wasn't about training an organization better. It wasn't about having the right system. It wasn't about having the right sizzle product. It is a much bigger issue than all of that. I promise you this, that what you're about to hear will make more sense to you than anything you've ever heard regarding producing reliable residual income. It will be the most important information you will hear about the MLM industry because it will determine if you have long-term success or not. It has to do with a universal principle, as well as the two reasons of why people join the MLM industry in the first place. If these two reasons are not kept in mind with the universal principle, then there's massive failure and no residual income. If it's applied correctly, you can experience ultimate success and lifelong residual income. The best part is thousands of people, just like you, have been applying this universal principle correctly and thus enabling them to generate real lifelong residual income. It's important to understand these concepts so that you're not playing the, quote, MLM replacement game, unquote, which is where you have a revolving door of new people coming in to simply replace the people that quit. The truth is, you're unknowingly sabotaging your success and hurting your chances of creating lifelong residual income by failing to understand the flaws of the MLM business model. But you can put all of that to an end right now. Our goal is to inform you of the flaws of the MLM business model.
Listen, we don't care how beat up or burnt you might be from your multi-level marketing experience. I lost my house and everything I worked so hard for. After this happened, I needed to understand why it happened, but more importantly, if there was a solution to creating real residual income, because I wasn't going to throw my time into a business that was going to fall apart all over again. Now we have to warn you, this presentation contains a very specific checklist needed to create lifelong residual income. And the very company that you're in right now most likely does not pass the test. If you're looking for some hypey, fake it till you make it information that you're going to see all over the internet, which you can see right now all over the internet, then please stop watching this right now. The information within this important presentation is only for people who are actually wanting to learn how to truly create lifelong residual income using simple, effective business concepts that are proven to produce significant long-term residual income. We've helped thousands of people earn reliable residual income, many of them earning a healthy six-figure income per year, all because of the principles we're going to share with you today. You might think you've heard it all, and maybe even tried it all when it comes to creating residual income. But you're obviously here because you're still trying to figure it out, how to create true lifelong residual income. The main reason you joined the home-based business industry in the first place. And that's great because it demonstrates that you're committed to getting what you want. And I want you to know you deserve it. These business concepts are based on years of experience and are backed by a principle that is over 100 years old. So let's get into uncovering the real reason why 95% of network marketers fail. When my MLM business fell apart after 11 and a half years, I went on a mission of figuring out why it all fell apart. And this was my thought process. Why do people join the home-based business industry in the first place? After surveying that question out to thousands of people involved with the industry, there were really only two reasons of why they get involved. The first reason is people want to own their own business. They're sick and tired of the corporate world. They don't want the headaches of having employees or the overhead of traditional business. And the second reason is people join these type of businesses to earn lifelong residual income. That's why you got in. That's why I got in. We all came in for those two reasons.
So let's get clear on residual income. You know, most people confuse an override commission with residual income within this industry. An override is when someone earns a one-time commission when someone within their organization makes a sale or when someone enrolls a new business partner. Overrides are one-time payouts. They are not residual income. The confusion sets in because in most multi-level marketing opportunities, you have the potential to earn overrides off of other people within your downline. And most people think, since they didn't actually do the work themselves, that it's residual income. But it's not. It's pretty much just an override commission. If you have a team of people underneath you producing one-time sales, and the majority of those customers don't come back and reorder again, then that is not the definition of residual income. Residual income is money received on an ongoing basis for something that you did one time. So let's take, for example, a customer consuming a product or using a service on an ongoing basis, month after month. That's residual income. But a sale to a consumer or a business partner when they first join your business is not residual income. It's an override commission because it's just basically a one-time payout. Also, a lot of network marketers look at their organizational volume as residual, when in reality a very, very small portion of it really is. So if you take a look at your business report, and most of your check comes from new customers and business partners' initial orders, this is not residual income. And you're basically falling for the MLM residual income lie. So after we figured out the two reasons of why people join multi-level marketing businesses, we've discovered the importance of a universal principle to produce lifelong residual income. And it's called the 80-20 rule. And I'm sure a lot of people on the line today have heard of this principle. 20% of the people in the world do something, while 80% of the people in the world really don't do too much. It's called the Pareto principle. And you can see the documentation there from Wikipedia that talks about the Pareto principle. It's basically a universal principle that can't be broken. You know, I can't break it. You can't break it. They can't break it in China. They can't break it in Australia. And they're certainly not going to break it here in the U.S. You know, if you bring me 10 doctors, 10 lawyers, 10 chiropractors, or even 10 cab drivers, I'll show you 2 that shine and 8 that don't even do too much. And the fact of the matter is this. The numbers are the same within the home-based business industry. 8 out of 10 people that join this industry don't do too much.
After realizing this principle, we then asked, what makes these type of businesses work? And the answer is, it's numbers. We all need numbers on the board. It doesn't matter what company you're in, Amway, Shackley, or Herbalife. Numbers equal orders, and only ongoing orders equals residual income. The question is, who's going to have the most numbers on the board at the end of the month ordering? And the truth of the matter is that the 80%ers are going to quit in almost every MLM business. And when they quit, they become zeros on the business report. Then we started thinking, who are the 80s? The 80%ers are our mother, our sister, our next door neighbor, the average person that doesn't have any sales experience, that doesn't have a lot of tenacity, that doesn't take action. They really don't do much. Then all of a sudden, the clouds parted and the problem and solution became very clear. If the larger part of anyone's organization is going to be the 80s, then we have got to find an 80s business, something the 80s can do. What we've been in and everything else we've seen so far are 20%er deals, where the only ones ordering in the end are the 20%ers who are ordering to stay qualified to earn commissions, bonuses, or overrides. And they're the only ones that can justify buying luxury products at prices that don't compete in the real marketplace.
When we look at the landscape of all the MLM deals out there, what we see is that they're all 20%er deals. In a product-based company, they all have great products, but what happens in those businesses is you bring people into those businesses and now they start buying things they never bought before. And their budget changes to the tune of $120 to $300 a month. Now let's look at a service-based company like a gas or electric or a phone service. People are joining for $300 to $500 to be resellers of an already established service. So there's no significant savings to the customer. They're not the manufacturer. So after you're done asking your friends and family to do you a favor and switch services, you're out of business because the services don't compete on price in the real marketplace. Now, when the 80%ers don't start making money in their first 30 to 60 to 90 days, they quit. And when they quit, what's the first thing that they stop ordering? In a product company, it's the overpriced luxury products, whether it's a $40 bottle of juice or $100 plus per month in coffee, expensive vitamins, or skincare. There isn't enough value as a customer for them to stay and reorder every month, whether they made money or not. In a service-based company, the 80%ers don't stay on the board because the majority of them lost the $300 to $500 they spent when they joined. And there's not enough savings to keep them as a long-term customer. This is why the attrition is so bad in multi-level marketing and why there is no real residual income. The 80%ers are not capable of creating a new need in the marketplace or justifying overpriced luxury products or services that have no real savings. So here's the key. We knew if we could find something that the 80s could do, we would create massive success. This needed to happen on two levels. First, we needed to find a business model where the 80s could actually make money in and win in, where they didn't have to justify luxury overpriced products that don't compete in the real marketplace. Because remember, they're not capable of creating a new need in someone's budget. They're the 80%ers. We knew if we found this, we were going to have a major hit. And now here was the complete ultimate. If we could find something where there was enough value to stay and reorder every month as a customer, whether they were making money or not, then we were going to have a huge, huge home run.
So to produce residual income, it basically has to be based on a lot of people ordering every month. The 20%ers basically put the numbers on the board, but it's the 80%ers staying ordering is basically what creates the residual income. Unfortunately, in the multi-level marketing industry, the only ones ordering in the end are the 20%ers who are just ordering to stay qualified for bonuses and commissions. If you only have the 20%ers on the board ordering, you do not have enough people consistently buying month in and month out. So without the 80s, there is never enough ongoing consumption on the consumer level to create real residual income. So remember, you need a lot of people doing a little bit. So you need the 80%ers actively ordering if you want long-term residual income. This is why multi-level marketing doesn't work when it comes to producing residual income. There is not enough value to stay as a consumer buying month after month unless there's a financial gain. For products to be successful in the marketplace, they need to compete for market share. And this does not happen in the multi-level marketing industry. Multi-level marketing produces products that don't compete in the marketplace on price, nor are they things that people generally even purchased before, and especially at high prices. And they're asking people to buy more than they normally would consume and use on a monthly basis. So in multi-level marketing, you do not have products being consumed by large numbers of consumers long term, unlike any other successful business has. It's important to understand where a multi-level marketing company's sales volume comes from. Majority of its sales volume is being sold primarily to the people participating in the business. And the majority of the sales comes from the startup costs at the beginning time when people are joining the business. The multi-level marketing company's customers are its distributors and its consultants. It's not customers joining. It's not customers just consuming the products. They are the 20%ers who are ordering just to stay qualified. An MLM company might be able to survive on the 20%ers ordering every month, but someone who's trying to build an MLM organization will never have enough numbers on the board long term to earn reliable residual income. Without the 80%ers staying on the board and consuming the products month after month, residual income is not possible.
So after that, we figured all of this out. And we knew that we had to keep the 80%ers in mind through our entire decision process if we were going to earn lifelong willable residual income. So along with other top industry leaders, we came up with a checklist, a roadmap for long-term residual income success. It's called the 12 success factor. This checklist was created because we didn't want to get caught making a decision based on emotion, which so many people do. We didn't want to get caught up on a company's hype or the new sizzle product that's here today and gone tomorrow. So we knew we needed a checklist because we were looking for a home, not our next deal. This checklist is extremely important to keep the 80%ers on the board actively ordering. We all want the 20%ers because they bring the 80%ers, but without the 80%ers actively ordering long term, there is not enough numbers on the board to produce any type of real residual income. The proof of this is out of 8 multi-level marketing companies that have reached the over $1 billion in sales annually, which we mentioned. The majority of their sales volumes come from outside of the United States. And this proves that multi-level marketing companies fail to create long-term consumption of their products or services. As a result, there's no long-term residual income earned in any one marketplace. Remember, residual income is all about numbers, period. It's all about having massive numbers of people actively using the product or services month in and month out. We need the 80%ers. So let's go through the 12 success factors. As we go through each point, follow along. If you're involved in a multi-level marketing company right now, compare each point to your company as we move along.
The first one is company track record. 98.5% of multi-level marketing companies fail within the first 5 years. So the company must be in business a minimum of 5 to 10 years, preferably. To be lured by the proposition that you're getting in on the ground floor is almost certainly going to result in failure because 98.5 of them won't make it past the fifth year. So how does the ground floor opportunity make any sense? It doesn't. Any real business gets better over time. If the best time to join is only at the beginning, then that's not a business model for long-term success. Number 2, financially sound. The company needs to be healthy financially. The reason 98.5% of MLM businesses fail is they lack the necessary capital to grow. So a debt-free company would be preferable. This is a key factor in determining will the company last long term. 3, strong management. The company should not be run by a bunch of MLM guys. Many MLM companies are started by former MLM distributors. When this happens, they own the downlines and they start making decisions to make themselves wealthy at the expense of the thousands of other people. They also instill the MLM culture of fake it till you make it, with the flash of quick money, big checks, flashy cars, huge houses, and the false promise of long-term residual income. Number 4, unique consumable products. The products must be highly consumable by everybody. The all is key. The products must be products that people are already buying, so their budgets don't change, and they're not spending new money. It has to be a simple concept of simply switching stores, not creating a new expense in somebody's budget. This is a key factor in keeping the 80s ordering long term, even if they're no longer building the business.
Number 5, competitively priced. The products must be considerably less expensive than the stores that people are already shopping at. Remember, if the products are overpriced, more than the store prices, the 80s will quit ordering when they stop doing the business. This is a major, major flaw, guys, in the multi-level marketing business model. Number 6 is high monthly reorder rate. The company needs to have a high monthly reorder rate where both distributors and consultants and consumers are actively purchasing. Most multi-level marketing industry reorder rates are based on the business builders ordering to qualify for a check, but they don't include the retail customers, which makes it pretty much a fictitious reorder rate. The few consumers that do stay ordering when there's not a financial gain are people who've had life-changing experiences on the products, but there's never enough of them to create lifelong residual income. Number 7 is low personal production requirement. This is another important factor for the 80s to stay on the board. There needs to be a low monthly order requirement and no monthly sales quotas, no matter what position you advance to in the company. In some companies, you have to have sales of thousands of dollars a month to earn your commissionable income. That is not something the 80%ers can do, or the part-time person. They're not capable of doing that. And if you're asking the larger percentage of your organization, which is the 80%ers, to order over $100 a month in things they never bought before, it won't work. It needs to be a small order without changing anybody's budget of products that people are already consuming. And number 8, low entry fee. There needs to be a very low cost for the 80%ers to join. And this is key. They must not be ordering or buying inventory with their entry fee. The 80s are not capable of getting other people to pay high entry fees. Remember, the 80s don't have sales experience to promote large startup costs. And number 9, low attrition. Low attrition means, people are sticking around. If people are quitting, they're not ordering. There must be overwhelming value, guys, to be a customer, whether or not people are making money. Again, this is what creates lifelong residual income.
The next success factor is timing. We wanted a company that was well established, but still growing here domestically, because the demand of their product and service was still growing. The new Sizzle deal that is here today and gone tomorrow has never turned into a residual income business. Most multi-level marketing gurus have never earned lifelong willable residual income. How do we know that? And how do we know this is true? Just ask how many deals they've been in. How many of them were in a ground floor deal? How many of them are still in the business today that was ground floor? And if you're pitching get in now on the ground floor, what's your pitch in 3 years from now to new prospects? Get in now? The timing's not as good as when I got in, but you should still join? No breakaways is the next success factor. You should never be penalized. This is one of the biggest reasons industry leaders get frustrated for enrolling someone better than you. You should never lose a person's volume because they do better than you. Leadership development should be rewarded, penalized. Many companies' compensation plans use new forms of breakaways. So let's take a look at the different MLM compensation models and where the breakaways actually occur. The first is the stair-step breakaway and unilevel. When someone reaches the same rank as you in your organization, you get penalized by being either getting paid nothing on that business, or if you do, you earn a very small percentage of what you were earning previously from that part of your business. And most of the time, the majority, if not all the volume, doesn't count anymore towards your overall volume. And now you have to go out and replace that volume to hold your status. The next one would be the binary compensation plan. In this plan, you have a left or a right side. Left and a right side, you get paid a certain percentage of your weaker leg. Commonly, it's about 10%, industry average. Most people are lucky to find one good person in their business. When this occurs, there's an unbalance in volume between each leg. The breakaway actually occurs by only paying you 10% of the weaker leg and not getting paid on the other volume that was created in your other leg. A lot of people got hurt from that and are getting hurt by that. An example would be you enroll your friend and place them at the top of your left leg. This is a friend that has a large network of people in their business, and they start to take off in the business. Then you enroll your mom and place her on the top of your right leg. So you got the strong one on the left and your mom on the right. So your friend starts to build strong while mom doesn't do much of anything. Now you start getting paid 10% of mom's leg while getting paid nothing on your friend's leg. which is the actual producing volume leg. Hence, there's the breakaway. This plan has become very common amongst the new MLM companies because it creates the most breakage to the company, which is volume that the company never has to pay out on. The next compensation plan is the force matrix compensation plan. A compensation plan that doesn't have a breakaway would be a matrix. But by design, it's restricted in width and in depth. That's why it's called the force matrix. An example would be a 5x7 matrix or a 2x12 matrix, or etc. Most matrices are not expandable, meaning you can't go wider, okay, with frontline positions. Unlike the other plans that we just discussed, the one good thing about a matrix is you're not penalized for developing leaders to your status and beyond, but over time, you and those within your organization are forced to place good business builders deep within the matrix, causing the majority of the volume to fall outside of your payout. This last one, to me, makes a lot of sense, which is the expandable matrix compensation plan. So in order to have a compensation plan that allows you to build long-term residual income, you shouldn't have to balance volume on the left or the right side. You should never be penalized for developing someone to your status level or beyond. And what we have found to be the plan that is the most profitable and also producing long-term residual income is this expandable matrix. In this plan, you're paid on volume in your organization, even on leaders that reach your status or beyond. Also, the expandable matrix is very different from the force matrix because the plan does not limit you to the number of frontline positions that you're allowed, which allows you to place good business builders higher up in your organization, causing the majority of your volume to stay within your payout. To the best of my knowledge, there's only one business model that has an expandable matrix compensation plan. Next success factor, and understand this is the last one, probably one of the most important, is no risk. It needs to be something safe for everyone, customers and business builders combined. There needs to be 100% money back guarantee, no questions asked, if it's not for somebody. We wanted something where nobody gets hurt or loses money. The 80%ers can do no risk deals. They can do that. My mom can do that. The average person can do that. It's much easier to have the 80%ers duplicate others getting started, knowing that if it's not for them, they get all their money back. So let's be very clear on this. Through hundreds of others' years of experience, through hundreds of top networkers, myself, and many other industries leaders' experience, we know that we need all 12 success factors. If we're going to create lifelong willable residual income, we need all 12. It's important to understand that long-term residual income can only be created by keeping the 80%ers actively ordering, period, whether there's a financial gain for them or not. Otherwise, you're just chasing a pipe dream. So here's a question I pose to you. Everybody on this call, whether you're a newbie to the industry or you've been a veteran or you used to be involved with the industry but you're burnt, you came across this information. Which one of these 12 points would you be willing to take off the list, off this checklist, and still invest your time, your energy, and your most important valuable asset, your reputation, into it? Are you looking for your next one, or are you looking for your last one? I asked myself that question. If you're like us, we're looking for our last one. We're looking for a home, and we found that home. We found a business model that really does produce real lifelong willable residual income, and it's not in the multi-level marketing industry. Let's go over a few facts. We're the only direct sales company that has done over $1 billion in sales, with the majority of the sales, 60% to be exact, is right here in the United States in our own backyard. Remember, in the multi-level marketing industry, the top companies are only doing 5% to 19% in the United States. This has made it very clear, a very clear choice when choosing a business model that creates long-term residual income for us when we made this decision. Between 2009 and 2012, our company has net growth of $240 million in one of the worst economic times since the Great Depression. Last year alone, we grew by $94 million. In 2011, we invested $111 million in new manufacturing and distribution facilities, and we are now able to handle $5 billion in sales per year, and we just hit our first $1 billion. This investment was paid for all in cash, and after this investment, we still continue to remain debt-free. Our company has a documented 95% monthly customer reorder rate, including business builders and customers, which is so important. If you are interested in finding out about the business model that we have chosen and many other former industry leaders and current industry leaders have chosen, that meets all of the 12 success factors, that is not in the multi-level marketing industry, but does pay you multi-levels of compensation, which is why any of us ever joined in the first place. I want you to click on the button on your screen now, or go to www.timeandfreedom.com/information. Again, that's www.timeandfreedom.com/information. And on behalf of myself, Eric, and Robert, we wish you the best of success. Let's just make sure that this is our last one, and we finally go out and find a home, which is why we joined in the first place. Have a great day.